I'm a little biased here, but my dream landing spot for Jeanty would be the Broncos. They need more playmakers on offense, and Ashton Jeanty would fit perfect. Today, we are going to be talking landing spots for the top 10 offensive prospects in this year's draft class. We're going to give a dream scenario for these guys, but then also realistically where we think they're going to fall. Let's start with Travis Hunter, the most hyped athlete coming into the class. Obviously, we can do this for defense, we can do it for offense, and I think that he's going to go pretty high. Realistic spot for Travis Hunter and dream spot, it's the same for me. I have him at Giants at number 3. You know, we've seen what Brian Daboll's done this offseason. He signed Russ, he signed Jameis. So that's telling us something. That's telling us that he don't like the guys in this class. He's probably all set at quarterback for this year. And I think that this really makes sense for Travis Hunter. He's a big name, a big brand, and goes to a big city and a big brand with the New York Giants. Daboll's also talked a lot about utilizing him both ways, which is really important to Travis Hunter. They have Troy Brown as one of their offensive assistants, who actually did play both defense and offense, which I think could be a lot of fun and could help him with that transition into the pros. Next up, let's talk Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State. I'm a little biased here, but my dream landing spot for Jeanty would be the Broncos. Now, Denver has the 20th overall pick, so I don't think Jeanty falls that far. This would have to be a trade-up situation where the Broncos trade up to maybe 9 or 10 ahead of San Francisco, ahead of the Cowboys. But I really love the way that he would fit in this Broncos offense. Look, they've got a young quarterback where you need the run game to be solid. And the way that they can utilize Jeanty, yes, he's a workhorse back, but he also is the kind that you can use in those joker situations and really just make Bo Nix's life a little bit easier. They lost Javonte in the offseason, so there's a hole to fill there. And he's that do-it-all guy. They need more playmakers on offense, and Ashton Jeanty would fit perfect. Now, it's a dream for a reason. I don't think that he's going to go past the Raiders. So realistically, I think Pete Carroll's taking Ashton Jeanty in the first round. Next, let's talk Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. My dream landing spot for Warren is the Patriots at number 4. He's that jack of all trades tight end, the best tight end in this class. And I think he's going to fit with a lot of different teams, but I love him for New England. He's that guy that can catch, he can block, he's got yards after contact. He sounds familiar to another Patriots future Hall of Fame tight end. I don't know, maybe Vrabel gets his Gronk 2.0 and it would work great. You've got Drake May in there. They've done a lot in terms of boosting their defense this offseason, but they need more playmakers on offense. Tyler Warren would enter a situation where he's drafted by them and immediately is the best player on offense. I love it. I don't realistically see it happening because I think that the Patriots stick to just getting an offensive lineman in the class. We've got a couple good ones. So I think Tyler Warren falls to the Jets, but man, I would love to see him on the Patriots. Okay, we're going to talk about the best quarterback in this class. It's Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami, who's minus 2,000 on FanDuel right now to go to the Titans number 1 overall. And yes, that's what's going to happen. It just makes sense. Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback. They are over Will Levis. There's clearly drama happening with him. They don't like him on the field, and it doesn't seem like they like him off the field. So Cam Ward is going to be the quarterback for Tennessee. But we're talking dream landing spot. And yes, if you were going to ask Cam Ward and if you were going to ask his camp, they also want him to be the number 1 overall pick. But I'm thinking long-term success here. What would actually be best for Cam Ward's career long-term? How about this? How about Jerry Jones steps in and makes a Godfather offer, something Tennessee can't deny, and he finally says, I'm not going to be quiet in the offseason. I found a guy I love, the prospect I'm taking and going to give whatever they need to have. Jerry Jones takes Cam Ward. Cam Ward sits under Dak Prescott, kind of like a Mahomes situation, and learns under him, and then is now with the biggest market in the NFL as opposed to the smallest market or one of the smallest markets in Tennessee. Now, this isn't going to happen. We're going to watch Cam Ward with the Titans, and he might be good for a couple of years, but he wouldn't be as good as he would be if he landed in Dallas. Just saying. Okay, next tight end we haven't talked about yet, Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. As opposed to Tyler Warren, who's that like jack of all trades guy, Colston Loveland is more of the strictly pass catcher. He's definitely not Brock Bowers, but similar-ish traits. I think best landing spot for Loveland would be the Panthers at number 8. It'd be similar to Bowers in the sense of like, remember when the Raiders 2 years ago were just terrible and then they got Bowers and they were still terrible, but at least entertaining? That's what the Panthers could be with Loveland. I don't think that he actually goes that high. Panthers need more help on defense, so I'd say he probably ends up with the Colts at number 14. Here's an interesting one. McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. Now, if you're looking at any mock drafts, there's some mock drafts that have Tet as high as 5th overall, and then there's some that have him falling literally into the 2nd round. And that's just what happens with receivers because different teams have different comps, different, reads on a guy. And Tet's that bigger body receiver that is a little bit risky because you know that he can, make those tough catches. I think his best comp would be Mike Williams, but I think his floor comp would be maybe like a Quentin Johnston. I think he's good, and I think best case scenario for him, he does go 5th overall to the Jags. And you could see it happening because there's this pressure on Jacksonville right now where they need to win now. It's that last chance mentality for Trevor Lawrence. And so you've already got Brian Thomas Jr., but you add a McMillan to the equation. I think Liam Cohen would love this. It's another big playmaker. But I wouldn't be surprised if realistically we saw him falling. I say realistic, we could see him going all the way 26th overall to the Rams. You just never know with some of these receivers, especially the bigger body ones where every team's going to have a different read on him. All right, let's talk Omarion Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina. I have his dream landing spot and his realistic landing spot being the Bears at number 10. Makes sense. He's still a top 10 draft pick. And he gets to go into an offense led by Ben Johnson now that's ready to win. And I actually think for a running back, you don't necessarily want to go to a spot where you're just strictly the only good playmaker on the team because then you get overworked, more injuries, and he'd get a chance with Chicago to have those first team reps. He'd be somewhat competing with DeAndre Swift, but I genuinely think that we'd see Hampton out of the gate getting a pretty good workload. And he's with a fun offense, a team that is ready to succeed. So I've got him number 10 to the Bears. Okay, we haven't talked to any of these offensive linemen. Armand Membou, best landing spot for him. I have him at the Patriots at number 4. This is the offensive lineman out of Missouri. He plays tackle, but honestly, he's pretty versatile. So that's what you're getting with a guy like him. I think he could jump in and play guard. He could probably play either side of tackle. And it's just very fitting for New England. Vrabel's gotten a lot of pieces on defense this offseason, but they want protection for Drake May. It's that gritty New England style where they're going to run the ball a lot. And so I think Membou would fit in with that new regime New England's entering in this season. Okay, the second most hyped receiver in this class is Matthew Golden, the receiver out of Texas. He's a lot different than Ted. He's smaller. He's a slot guy. He's fast, actually the fastest guy in this draft class. And I think best case scenario for him is landing in Seattle 18th overall. He could fall a little bit similar to Tet, but he's a little bit more dependable. You know what you're going to get. He's smaller, but he's so fast. And I know the Seahawks have been all in the headlines for Cooper Kupp. They already have JSN, but reality is they still need more weapons at the receiver position. And I think that you get a guy like Matthew Golden who's going to be very dependable day one, and that speed's really going to help the Seahawks. Okay, the last guy we haven't talked about in this class, probably the most talked about guy in this class. Not the best, but definitely the most discussed. Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado, the son of Deion Sanders. And he's good. He's really good. I don't know if he's Cam Ward good, and I think that's why he's not going to get selected number 1 overall. But I do think that the dream landing spot for Shedeur and the realistic spot is probably Cleveland at number 2. And I know some of you might be thinking, wait, why would that be ideal for Shedeur? Why would he want to go to an organization like the Browns? I'll tell you why. There's a lot that comes along with Shedeur. The name, the brand, the ego, can we say? And I think Cleveland would actually embrace it. I don't think that Cleveland's going to put Shedeur in his place and tell him what time it is. I think that they're going to love everything that comes along with Shedeur Sanders because guess what? It gets them off of the Deshaun Watson trade. It gets the attention off of it on the media. It changes their brand. It changes their identity, and it puts them in a better chance to win. Now, there is a world in which Cleveland goes and gets Abdul Carter, they go and get Travis Hunter, and then I think we see Shedeur probably drop a little bit because people don't want to put up with that. But Cleveland and Shedeur would be a perfect marriage, and I think that's where he's going to land at number 2. Okay, those are the top 10 offensive prospects, landing spots, dream spots, realistic spots. We're going to be back here next week to talk defense, so make sure you subscribe and tune in.